Welcome into the ASN studios. This is Brad Caldwell here. Beside me, got Justin Smith, and we are here to talk high school sports and a little bit of Razorback today too, as we're bringing you the Audible. We did this on Thursday, and we're still trying to figure things out. It's been an interesting time here over the last few weeks, and we're actually in a studio now, which is something that we've never been in before. For 5 years, I guess we've been doing this, and we've never had a place to call our own. Well, we have one now, and so we're excited to be here today to talk a little bit about high school football across the state, but also what happened with the Arkansas Razorbacks and all the things going on around the Razorbacks right now. There's just a ton happening right now here in the natural state when it comes to football. It comes to the gridiron. Justin, what do you think, man?
Man, it was a crazy weekend, high school sports, and talk about the Razorbacks, 3-point loss after a crazy 2 weeks to a top-ranked team in Tennessee. I'm going to take that as a moral victory, even though there are no moral victories in football. Uh, Players played a great game. Coach Petrino
All right.
did a good job. Just come up short.
Well, and then the question, especially for guys like us who are in our 40s, and
Yeah.
when Bobby Petrino was here earlier, we were in our late 20s, really heyday time, and it was such a good time for Razorback football at that time. And the question, I guess, I'm going to ask the people that are watching today is, if you're a Razorback fan, especially, uh, do you want Bobby back? Do you want Bobby back as your head coach? Those are things that we will explore today here on the Audible. But before we get to that, we're going to talk some high school football and just some of the headlines that have happened over the weekend, Friday, and then obviously Saturday we talk about the Razorbacks. But let's do this real quick. Let's get to our D3 auto sales players of the week, MVPs of the week, better to put them like that there. We're going to talk about those guys. And you can vote on the ASN High School page. All you got to do is go over there and cast your vote for who you think had the best weekend. We have Cooper Caldwell of Murfreesboro. He was 22 of 38. 436 yards through the air, 7 TDs in a win
Ooh,
against Dirks. Now, the thing about Murfreesboro is, they went from ground and pound offense, tight on defense. They're definitely more of a scoring offense now. Put up 52 points um, against Dirks, 152 to 23. Nikel Lewis of Hamburg had 409 yards on the ground,
man,
6 touchdowns in a win versus Warren. The first time the Hamburg Lions had beaten Warren in 16 years. You'll get a little bit more about that as we go on through the week. Drew Davis of Benton, he was 26 of 36 for 435 yards, 8 touchdowns in the air, one on the ground
that's amazing.
versus Sheridan. Yeah, 9 total touchdowns. Trey Harris of Conway, he had rushed the ball 24 times for 257 yards, 3 touchdowns versus Cabot. Kane Price for Stuttgart, 15 of 20 through the air, 7 touchdowns, 296 yards. Think about that. Half of his passes were touchdowns.
That's pretty spectacular.
And then you got Courtney Rogers of Blytheville, 16 carries, 214 yards, and 3 touchdowns here this week. So all you have to do, go vote for your player who you want to see be your D3 Auto Sales MVP of the week. And if said person wins the MVP of the week, then they get involved in the MVP of the season discussion. We're going to also have other people involved as well. I'll just tell you right now, Nikel Lewis, he might get put up there every week. He might not win it every week. In fact, he hasn't won it yet, which is crazy.
With the season
Um,
he has, it's nuts.
right. And we'll talk about him in just a minute. The season he's having right now is amazing. But anyway, with that being said, vote for your player. Vote for your team's player or just a player that you think had the best week overall. And let's talk about Nikel Lewis. He is maybe having the best year
Yeah.
overall right now. Nikel, the last update I got, which was Saturday, 1,791 yards rushing,
Oh my.
32 touchdowns. I think he actually has one receiving touchdown. So
Hmm.
31 touchdowns on the ground. So that is amazing. Right now, the state record is in sight for him, which is 3,232 yards, and then that was gains from
Yeah.
EPC just a few years back. And then the total touchdowns, Jalen Dupree set that just a couple seasons ago with 46. You imagine that 46 times in the end zone, and your record's not going to stand, but maybe 2, 3
Uh,
years.
it's really impressive what Nakel Lewis is doing this year. I met him this summer. We were interviewing the Hamburg coach and a couple team members that the coach brought with us when we were in South Arkansas. And man, one nice young man, super nice young man, and he was ready to work this year, and he's done it so far.
Now, they're not just, it's not just him. I
No,
mean,
it's not.
Trey Thomas, there, the quarterback, a guy that is a phenomenal athlete in
Hmm.
himself.
Yeah,
Really, really good player there. And then obviously, if you run the ball like that, you've got to have an offensive line in front of you. So
they do.
they're really playing well down there. 67-54 win over Warren last week, or Friday night there. And man, it's a great time to be a Hamburg Lion, and we're looking your way, Hamburg. I'm going to tell you, we're
Yep.
definitely looking your way, and we may have some stuff coming up over the coming weeks. Something else that we need to cover is we put the post out. We'd like to go somewhere this week. We don't have anywhere right now. It's one of those things that I mean, we don't necessarily have to, but it's obviously good when we do. But if you think that your team and might have room for us and got a great game, and maybe the community will get behind us a little bit, and you know, be able to bring the red plate to you and all of that stuff, make sure that you reach out to us and let us know. You got any comments there we need to talk
Yeah.
about already?
Pineapple Gaming asking us if we've been to Carlisle, and yes, we have
Yeah, we've
many times.
Carlisle is a place that we've been quite a bit actually. We probably more, I don't know, we may have done more games at Carlisle than ever anywhere else, honestly.
Carlisle and or Desert,
So
especially that game, Carlisle
yeah,
Desert
yeah,
game.
that's the most, I definitely the most watched, or not watched, but televised, I guess,
Yeah.
but broadcast. There you go.
Last year we did a bunch of Bismarck because they were rolling in
Bismarck
the
is another one.
playoffs. Had a good time with them. But yeah, we've been to Carlisle. I've been there a couple times. You've been there more than I have.
Speaking of that, should we just go ahead and break that news now
Might
about
as
next
well.
week?
Might as well.
We'll be at Prescott and Bismarck next week. We're going to go to Prescott. So we're looking forward to going down there on the 24th. That's going to be maybe the conference championship down there in the 7-3A. So we're looking forward to being down there. So anyway, in fact, I've got a message. Got a message from a coach right now. Let me reply to this real quick. Live broadcasting right here, right?
Yeah, we is. This Pineapple Gaming guy, he's on the YouTube side. He saying he's a superintendent, son. And
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
we've been to Carlisle, and we'll probably be going back there before it's over with.
Okay, yeah,
But,
absolutely, absolutely. But anyway, and that was one of the top. Let's just talk about top stories from Friday night. Number one, Bobby Swafford. If you don't know him, you need to follow him on X. Tweeted out something that was a very interesting. 87 points. Well, let me start here. There were the scoring last week was unbelievable. It was
it's
just
insane.
yeah. I mean, maybe the highest scoring week ever in Arkansas football history. 87 points by Benton was the fourth most in the modern era. And I was thinking about this the other day. I actually know of one game for sure that was a higher scoring game than that. And I think, and I say I know, and then I said I think, right? But I think Atkins and Two Rivers played a game in about 16, 17 that one of them had 88. And then I think there might have been a Fountain Lake game in there somewhere where there was one that had 88. But 87 points by Benton was the fourth most in the modern era in high school football. They took down Sheridan 87-42. 83 by Elkins last week was the third time this season that 80 has been scored in the state. They won 83-6.
That's nuts.
So the Elkins Elks, by the way, I don't know if enough people are talking about them right now. I mean, number one, they've been one of the top programs in 4A. We released our top 25 programs um, just over the last 5 years, and they were 1 point or maybe 2 points, whatever it was, from being the top one in 4A.
Yeah.
Um, so, and we did that by a point system, wins and state championship appearances and state championships and playoff appearances and conference championships and all that. So over the 5 year period, they have been one of the top in 4A. Well, they did come up with their first loss in the regular season since 22 when they played Dardanelle a few weeks back. But man, they have bounced back with a vengeance, and I'm telling you that the Elkins Elks are going to be something to take care of. They're going to be a handful in the playoffs. 13 teams scored over 62 points. 13 teams over 62 points. 31 teams scored 50 points at least, and 8 teams scored 40 and lost.
Oh,
Right? That's wild.
I was at a 40. Possible put up 46 on a. Who did we play? The
Waldron.
Waldron. There we go. I
Well, you
just
didn't
went blank.
lose,
Didn't lose.
and you didn't score 50, but you
Didn't
got
score 50. Yeah,
close.
we got close.
You got close, and that was a good win for Pottsville there. Um, anyway, with that being said, I think maybe the top story to me over that last week was the number one teams in 2A, 3A, and 4A all getting pushed.
Yes,
Um, 2A, it was EPC surviving against Cross County. Cross County was up 16-6 in the third quarter in that game, and East Poinsett County was able to pull it out. And so that was a big time comeback there by EPC,
was.
showing why they've been number one in 2A since the beginning of the season for us. Even though they lost to Rivercrest by 2. That's a 3A team that they played. 48-46, I think, was the final, or
Heck of a game there.
46-44, something like that. The one loss that they have was to Rivercrest. We kept them at number one. Then you had the 3A number one. Salem was very seriously pushed by the Atkins Red Devils. Now, that being said, we have been on top of the Atkins Red Devils for a while. We've been talking about them for quite a while.
We are in Atkins right this minute.
We are actually in Atkins. Our
Right,
our offices are in
with 3
Atkins.
blocks from the school. If that.
Yes, yes. So our offices are in Atkins, and the Red Devils are for real. I'm telling you
They
right now.
are.
So we got some Facebook comments right now from Laquan Bryant. Hamburg Lions beat Warren for the first time in 16 years. Nykel Lewis. We touched on all that. Laquan, all of that there. How about them Hampton Bulldogs? They're playing well. Hampton's coach sent y'all a message inviting y'all to the Hampton versus Bearden game this Friday. We did get that. We just got that. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But anyway, we're excited for those teams, and then that Hampton would be one of those top stories from this last weekend as they were able to overcome Carlisle. You know, Carlisle is the team in the 4-2A that everybody's looked at over the last few years as being the top
Yep.
team in that conference. But Hampton pulled off the victory at home. I'm sure they used some of that home field juju, and they were able to pull that victory off 36-28. And we saw Carlisle. Carlisle's a good football
Yes, they
team. I
are.
mean, Baylor Houck that day, I mean, had over 400 yards of total offense, 5 touchdowns, I believe 3 of them on the ground, 2 of them in the air. Great performance there. Hampton was able to pull it out. Hampton is a team that has come out of nowhere, and now they've moved up into our top 5 now in 2A.
They're having a heck of a season. They
You know
really
that
are.
that top 3 is really tough to crack. By the
It
way,
is.
in 2A, with EPC, Junction City, and Mount
She
Ida.
got powerhouses all in
Uh,
that 2A.
and how about the Earl Bulldogs up there?
Yeah,
And their
they're kicking
only
it.
loss was to Walnut Ridge, and Walnut Ridge pretty good 3A football team as well. So uh, pretty strong top, I would say. Well, I mean the top 10. I think this year the top 10 in 2A is definitely stronger than it has been over the last few years. There's 32 teams in 2A. And, we've had trouble getting teams in and out of the top 10 because by the time you got to about 8, it kind of got mushy, but it
Yep,
seems like it's pretty solid. The Spring Hill Bears jumped in to the top
yeah, they
10
did.
this week with a strong showing over the last few weeks there as well. So they're doing very well. Some things else that stuck out to me. Stuttgart. Stuttgart, we're noticing you. got this itch here. Man, it's funny when I get on camera, I get itchy. I start scratching. Anyway, um, Stuttgart, we're noticing Stuttgart, and we had some fans of theirs get in there, and they were telling us, Stuttgart's got to be ranked higher. Maybe they do. Maybe
Yeah.
they do. I mean, the thing is about rankings. Believe it or not, I was on the phone with somebody about rankings today. No lie. But the thing about rankings is this: number one, there's only 10 spots, so you can only fill them with 10 spots, and then a lot of times your top 3 or 4 are so solid that you're probably not going to crack that too much,
Yep.
unless they start beating each other up a little bit. And then, you kind of get down the line here and you see some movement here, but a lot of times it's not big movement. Just like Warren. Warren started in the top 5 for us. They've been in the top 5. Um, some people would question that, but the thing is, they're still there. They were
Yep.
still there up until last week, and then they got beat, and so now they're dropping down. Well, there are teams such as Stuttgart that have an opportunity to show, hey, we're better than Warren.
Yep.
But right now, they started in the top 5, so we can't just drop them completely out unless something catastrophic happens, which we've done that.
We have.
We did do that a couple weeks ago. We dropped Mills out of the top 10, and maybe they're a top 10 team. Who knows? It's just one of those things. There's only 10 spots, and you got to do what you think is best. So, Stuttgart, we're seeing you, man. Tell you what, you've got Hamburg and Warren here in the last 3 of the last 4 weeks, or 2 of the last 4 weeks here. So those are two really good matchups, and Stuttgart's going to get a chance to prove themselves. How about the Nashville Scrappers? They have come on strong after a couple losses.
They have. Started with a big, call it controversial, if you will, win over Arkadelphia. The W still counts on their record, and they've just been flowing ever since.
They sure have. 27-12. They beat Bauxite. Big game for them coming up. Nashville beating Bauxite and beating Arkadelphia. Really, they're sitting in the catbird seat right now in 7-4A, being as the number 1 seed. Coach Brad Cheshire over there at Nashville, he is a Nashville graduate.
Yep.
He left Murfreesboro. He's the one that got that culture going in the right direction there for Murfreesboro, and he's got it going now in the right direction for Nashville.
Yeah, he
Uh,
didn't lose a step moving over,
no,
not at all.
man. Well, there's just some guys right now that they just know how to do it.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where they go, they just know how to do it. He's one of those guys. So Nashville now, big game against Malvern on
Yes.
October 31st.
So at Malvern?
It's at Malvern, and Malvern is still undefeated in the conference right now. Malvern is another one of those teams. They've only got one. No, they got 2 losses. They got two. They lost to Glen Rose
It's always a
earlier
tough
this
place
year.
to play at Malvern, and they have exceptional hospitality
Oh,
at
great.
their
We,
facility.
we
They're
love going
wonderful.
to
We love
Malvern
going to
for
Malvern.
sure. For sure. So Nashville takes down Bauxite 27-12. They're sitting in the catbird seed.
Which is a
And
big win. That Bauxite team, they got some D1 talent on that
they
line.
do. How about two surprises that are going to play each other this week? Well, I say Mayflower not as much, but Quitman.
Yeah,
Quitman's sitting at 6-0 right now. And, nobody has really talked a lot about Quitman. Now, I will say that Quitman is going to be tested.
they are.
They're going to be tested this week. Mayflower Eagles beat Melbourne 38-0. Now, we watched Salem and Melbourne earlier this year. Salem beat Melbourne 34-7 at home.
Yep.
Mayflower beat them 38-0. Now, what can you do with that? I don't know. What you got there?
Oh, Joe Blaze telling us Mount Ida is the place to be Friday night.
Man, I wish I could tell you all, but we just I will say this. I would love to go.
Yeah,
I
it'd be
would
a great
love to
game.
go, but I don't know that we can. What do we got here? We
Oh,
got
it's
Eli Black of
at EPC.
EPC.
Yeah.
I can't. We just can't go, unfortunately. I wish I could go into it more, but anyway, we get that ball rolling. That'll be something, won't it?
Yes, it will.
Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on from there. Surprise team, the Quitman Bulldogs. Now Quitman again tested, and they're going to be tested even more down the stretch here, because not only do they have Mayflower, but they have Atkins and they have Salem The last four games, three of them are Mayflower, Atkins, and Salem. So that's going to be a tough row to hoe there. Now, if they can come out on top, you would have to say Quitman's one of those teams you've got to think about as a state title contender. In
Yep.
fact, when you look at that 3A2 right now with Salem, with Atkins, with Mayflower, and with Quitman right now, you realize that there's only two losses in the top four in
It's
that
amazing.
that group.
It really is amazing. It's I've talked with this about you or about this with you multiple times. It's just the talent is so much deeper than it has been in the years past. Top to bottom, 2A, 3A, 4A, that those classifications just keep getting better and better in my opinion. And Atkins has proven it again this year. I
Well,
mean,
every year you look at like a 3A2 and you say, that's a decent conference, whatever. And then you get into it and you're like, holy crap, man, they're really good.
they really are.
They're really good. So Mayflower is at 3-0 in the conference. Quitman's at 3-0. Salem's at 3-0. Atkins at 2-1. And then you've got a battle down here with Mountain View, Melbourne, Episcopal, and Yellville Summit. Now, Melbourne is the one that's had the hardest schedule of that group. They've had to
Yep.
play at Salem, at Quitman, and
Ooh,
yeah, well, let me check that. So,
they
yeah,
have had a
that's
really
right.
tough
That's
schedule.
right. So at Salem, at Quitman, and then Mayflower went to uh, Melbourne and won that game 38-0. So, that right there to me is a feather in their cap. So
Yep.
one of the questions that I had was about rankings, and one of the questions I had to answer about rankings was why did Atkins drop two spots after losing at Salem 20-14? Obviously playing their butts off.
They were.
I heard that they sustained some injuries.
Hmm.
Some people would even say that they had to overcome the officiating in some direction. Just it was one of those games. It was a battle. Now, I'm sure Salem people wouldn't say the same thing about
Nope.
the officiating. But with that being said, Atkins obviously showed themselves to be a top team. But now look at Mayflower. Mayflower is 6-0. They went on the road and won big at Melbourne. They have played, again, when you're talking about comparing teams there, we got to get a phone here.
My bad.
That's all right. But when you're talking about compare, you can't necessarily compare scores, but sometimes you have to. And just looking at Mayflower, I'll go ahead and look at their schedule right now while we got them. Mayflower beat Jessville 42-7. They beat Bigelow 48-7. They actually had a forfeit victory versus England, game they would have won most likely. They've beaten Mountain View 49-7, Yeovil Summit 63-0,
Whew.
and Melbourne 38-0. I mean, they've only given up 21 points on the year.
Yeah,
So what do you do with the Mayflower Eagles? Do you leave Atkins above them after that loss, or I mean,
you just
it
can't.
it's
It
it's tough.
it
It's
is.
tough.
It's tough, but you just can't do that. They've had the better season up till now. They're still undefeated, so you can't. You know, how upset would we be in the AP if they were ranked you know, a team that was a one-loss team higher than a no-loss team, same conference.
Right,
It's I mean, so we got to look at it just like that. It's the same area we're talking about here.
right. Make sure if you want to comment, get your comment in. Let us know. We're watching YouTube and Facebook. You say, are you watching ASN on that
Yeah,
side?
this is
Yeah.
ASN side. Yeah,
Okay, so you got the Earl Bulldogs versus East Poinsett County. That's what Brian Wallace says, or Bryant Wallace says. So we've got them all pulled up here. If you want to comment, get your comment in here. Let us know what you think. Um, so that's some of the top ones. Rogers, I know that our audience is really not a big school audience, but Rogers taking down Bentonville West was was impressive.
it
70
was.
points. Bentonville West went to Greenwood earlier this year and just about pulled the victory out. In fact, from my understanding, they were holding call away in the last 2 minutes from
Hmm.
winning that ball game. Now, I'm sure that Kane Archer would have got the ball back and gave his opportunity to score. But anyway, so Bentonville West, that's their second loss of the season. They hammered Fayetteville, and they have handled their schedule all the way through since then. So Rogers scoring 70 points on them, that's no joke.
It isn't. That's
Uh,
pretty amazing,
and,
actually.
and the thing is about Rogers is that they put themselves now. They've got Bentonville coming up. That's for the 7A West.
Hmm.
Rogers has already taken down Fayetteville. They've already taken down Bentonville West. Now, unless they stub their toe in some way, which I mean, Lord, it's hard up there. I mean, it's not like they just can roll the ball out and win, but if they don't stub their toe, they're going to play Bentonville for the championship in the
Yep.
7A West. Now, who would have thought? Who would have thought that? That's why you play the games. Everybody says, well, this will happen. And a lot of times it does, but there's always that one thing that you think, oh, man, just out of nowhere, that just come up.
You
So
can't ever tell when somebody's got a puncher's chance.
that's
You
right.
just can't.
Well, Rogers, and I will tell you, Coach Chad Harbison, phenomenal.
Yep.
Great coach there. You want to talk about a quarterback whisperer, and they've got a guy named Jeff Regan there he's awesome. He's good, really good. Sylvan Hills, I think maybe the story of the state right now. They're leading the 6A East. Let me just go and look at their standings while I've got an opportunity to do that as well. Um, they dropped their only game this year at Marion 46-43, but since then they have beaten Benton and then turned around and beat El Dorado,
Whew,
which El Dorado, we saw them. El Dorado's a good football team. They
they're
are
very
very
good.
physical, a running football team. And Sylvan Hills, who lost 20 games in a row, they had lost 27 of their last 30 games going back 3 seasons.
Yeah, they were struggling
They have come up and they are now 5-1.
out of nowhere.
And that 6A East is a jumble right now. You've got Sylvan Hills at 2-1, El Dorado at 2-1, Benton at 2-1, Marion at 2-1, Jonesboro at 2-1.
Where do you draw the tiebreaker there, man? That's what I want to know. Jeez.
So, well, I mean, you know how it goes. It'll play
Play
itself
so
out.
that's nuts to
But
start the season.
let's just look at it. We can do that. We've got the interwebs here. Let's see here. So the last 4 games for Sylvan Hills, they've got West Memphis, they've got Catholic, Sheridan. So they have a leg up right now in scheduling. They got West Memphis, Sheridan, Catholic, and then they've got Jonesboro, which is one of those teams that's in that cluster. Jonesboro, let's look at them. I think they've got Marion this week. They do. They have Sylvan Hills next week. They have El Dorado the next week. And then they have West Memphis in the final game of the season.
Call it a murderer's row to
Right.
finish
So
the
they
season,
definitely
man.
they definitely don't have the advantage of the scheduling there. And then let's look at the rest of them here. And gosh, every time I go back, it takes me all the way back to the top here.
Jaron Green on the YouTube talking about Gosnell and Southside. They're on course to
Yes,
play for a conference championship in a couple weeks. They take care of business.
that's right. That's right. And we had that one in our sights as well. Um, I don't remember what week it is. I had them written down somewhere. Tell us what week that is. I know that we just accepted to go to Prescott for Prescott and Bismarck, so we're going to be going there. So if it's that week, unfortunately, we won't be going there, which I think it may be. I think it
Yeah,
may be the 24th.
looks like it.
Yeah. Okay. And then we've got. Let me look here. Benton. So Benton has at El Dorado versus Catholic, at West Memphis, and versus Marion. Again, when you just look at this jumble, Sylvan Hills has the edge when it comes to scheduling
Yeah, they've already
there.
beat the hard part of their schedule to start the season.
So they're one of, if not the story of the state, considering they lost 27-30. Now they're 5-1. Coach Mark Kelly over there doing a phenomenal job. And I believe that's it. That's what I've
Oh,
got right now. What do we got?
we haven't even talked about the game you were at last week, Brad.
Yes,
Sure.
Dardanelle.
Wow. I
Dardanelle
was
Clinton.
watching that game while streaming my own game, and man, tough, tough loss for Clinton. But man, what an outing! Just what a game,
Oh
top to
man.
bottom. It looks spectacular.
So number one, Creed Vega's as good as you would think he is. I mean, 6'2", 220 pounds out there at quarterback, and I
He's a
mean,
monster. He really is. He's
I
a
mean,
monster.
when they need, sometimes you run a quarterback when you need 1 yard. When they need 5 yards, they give him the ball and make somebody tackle him, and
Good
you
luck.
you got to be some sort of man to step in there and do that. And then, he picked up a fumble off the ground and ended up taking it like 70 yards, whatever it was, to the house, and that one got called
Yep,
back. But also, not only is he powerful, but he's got some speed
he
on him
really
as well.
does. He really
But
does.
man, what a game! And Clinton really showed themselves to be one of the teams out there that 4A. Not a lot of people are saying, well, Clinton could be a 4A contender, but
If they're not paying attention.
really good. They're
They
really
they
good.
have two running backs that are grown men back there. They run fast and they run hard, and one person is not going to tackle them. And
Right.
you saw it yourself, Darnell. I mean, they were getting run on. I mean, they weren't stopping every play. It's
Now, I will say it was a little bit of a struggle. I've got the stats. Let me pull up my stats here that I've got from that
they were
game.
about dead even at the first half. Almost they
They
were
were.
1 yard
It was
apart.
they were 1 yard apart, 124 to 123. Um, but then let me see here how it ended up. Dardanelle had 224 on the ground. They had 132 in the air. Clinton had 197 on the ground and 108 through the air is what we had them. Now I saw a different number that Clinton had on the ground, which it was over 200 yards. These stats are unofficial. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with them.
You miss a play every
Yeah,
now and then. It happens.
exactly. Exactly. So, but anyway, it was a great game. So, that's the thing about ASN, and we're trying to find those type of games. And boy, we found it. I
Yes,
mean,
we did.
we found it with Clinton and Dardanelle. And I'll tell you what, it was really awesome to be at Dardanelle. Clinton and Dardanelle both got behind the game.
They did.
The communities really got behind the game, and man, it was awesome. It was awesome. And so we had a good time over there. And then, of course, we got everything that we bargained for. And looking at that game right now, Clinton still got Ozark left. And then, of course, some others. I know they played Dover this week at homecoming. But Clinton's got Ozark left. That's a key game as
It
far as
is.
that goes. And really, when it comes down to it, probably for second place in the 4A,
Mm-hmm.
unless possible, can go into Ozark and win on Friday night. Then you would hope, if you're a Pottsville fan, that Ozark would
Beats
beat
Clinton.
Clinton.
Yep.
And then you kind of got, you kind of got something
Kind of got a
going there.
mix up there.
So anyway, that's what Pottsville would hope for. But if Ozark holds serve, then you've got Ozark and Clinton coming in the Week 10 game for the conference number 2 seed
Yep.
behind Dardanelle, unless Ozark is able to pull it off against Dardanelle. But Coach Josh Watson's not gonna. He's not
Oh,
just gonna lay down.
no, he is not. Met him over the summer as well. Talked to him and his players. Of course, I'll be seeing him this week. Uh, it's always a tough outing against Ozark. I don't care who they're playing, what time of year it is. It is tough to play that squad
It sure is.
every year. They always put a good team on the field. Looking forward to watching them this week because they're always fun to play against and watch. Um, but I mean, it is talk about that 4A. As long as Dardanelle doesn't stub a toe the rest of the year, they're number one, and Clinton and Ozark are playing for two spot right now.
I mean, it looks that way. Dardanelle's got a lot of weapons too.
They
It's not
do.
just
It ain't
Vega.
just
They
Vega.
they're running they're running the jet sweeps well. They really press you on kind of trying to be able to set the edge
They play
in that
really,
game.
really good defense.
Yes, they do.
They play
Yes, they
good
do.
defense.
And I'm going to try to get this young man's name that blocked the field goal. He not only did he block the field goal, but he picked up a big interception in the fourth quarter as
Yep.
well. And he ended up being our D3 Auto Sales player of the game because of that, because those were two, I mean,
They were game-changing
they
plays.
were. They were game-changing plays for sure. And I am
And I've seen that Clinton kicker kick. If it hadn't have been blocked, I'm pretty sure that was going in.
well,
The boy's got a
he
leg.
definitely had the leg for it. No doubt about it. He had the leg for it.
So
So,
that was a game-saving play that young man made.
gosh, where is he at here? I, I his name has slipped my mind. Anyway, great play there by the young man, and I'm going to pull up Dardanelle's roster just to give you that. Should be a little bit more prepared here, huh? You know what I mean?
It's all right.
Um,
But hey, we
so,
just
so
waxed
look,
poetic about
man,
Creek Vega.
it
It's
is right.
that young man can play.
We're keeping up with everybody. We're keeping up with everybody, and
Trying to. There's a bunch of kids, man.
yeah, there are.
So many great student athletes across all classifications this year.
Anyway, if you've got a comment or something you want to get out there, maybe a player that had a great game that we didn't even mention, definitely let us know there in the comments. And man, what a great week it was for high school football. Another great week coming up here for high school football in the state of Arkansas. It's going to be, it's always fun,
Hmm.
and it's going to be that way again. we're looking forward to.
It's maybe we'll get some actual football weather this week. It'd be awesome.
Well, I know Saturday it's going to rain like cats and dogs, so I'm glad nobody's playing on Saturday. It looks like Friday night we're probably in the clear.
Yep.
Any comments? You see anybody? I don't really see anything.
No,
Is
we
there
ain't,
anything on the ASN side of Facebook there?
no, nothing right now.
Nothing right now. All right. Well, we're going to move on to Razorbacks, and we're going to talk a little bit of Hogs. And again, this is just a weekend recap show about what happened, who stuck out, players, coaches, incidents, good or bad,
Hmm.
anything that might have happened that we want to talk about. And then we're also going to talk about what happened with the Razorbacks because, well, right now the Razorbacks got a lot of interesting things going on with them. Number one, Bobby Petrino, the interim head coach of the University of Arkansas, coached his 52nd game at Arkansas. And I asked, I said, has that ever happened? And I've not gotten an answer.
I don't think
I
so.
mean, it's such a unique situation that Arkansas is in right now that they they have a coach that not only is your probably your most successful coach that has been your coach.
Next to Houston, not
Well,
really.
well, I mean, really though, I mean, as far as just a short amount of time, Petrino was
Yeah,
more successful
he
than
was.
Houston
Yep.
Nutt. I mean, he come in, he had one losing season at 5-7, but he was 8-5, he was 10-3, and he was 11-2. Well, Arkansas has only won 11 games one other time in history,
Yep.
and so now the guy's your interim head coach. Southside at Highland this week is what Tyson Frank says. Well, we might. Our high school side of things is we've went down to 10 viewers when we started talking Razorbacks.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's funny.
but with Petrino, it's just interesting. But then when you look at what happened on Saturday, I felt like that the Razorbacks really, really played much more inspired football,
They did.
especially than what you had seen against Notre Dame. I mean, I don't know that
Mm.
it would take a whole lot for anybody to be more
No,
inspired than that.
not in that game. No, sir.
But then, you know, they still had those killer mistakes that have plagued this football team this year. If you take fumbles out of the equation with Arkansas,
We're 5-1. I mean, just realistically, we're 5-1
and,
without all
and
them
you and
fumbles.
you probably still have your head coach that you started the season with,
Yep.
and I mean all of that. I mean it's crazy how just a few plays have turned the season. Of course, there was a whole lot more than a few plays
Whole lot more.
against Notre Dame, but
Yeah, we just chalked that one up to a bad day.
but with that being said, I want to ask anybody that's watching, especially if you're interested in the Razorbacks right now. Now again, I'm saying this coming from a guy that I was in my late 20s, early 30s when Bobby Petrino was here the first time. And it was just like the heyday. I
It
mean,
was.
it was the heyday. I had just gotten married. I didn't have any children. I mean, I was just running the roost. We would go to Razorback games all the time. We lived up there in
Yep.
Northwest Arkansas at the time. I mean, it was a great time. So now you've got this guy back, and he's been a proven guy. He's been a guy that well, I mean, he's taking you to a higher level than you've ever been, except for 1 year in your entire program's history with the 11 wins. And I did make a mistake. They've actually won 11 three times because they won it in 77. They won it in 64.
Yep.
They won the 11th game, which didn't necessarily even count. Those were just considered exhibition games.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, Tyson Frank says plenty of mistakes, but the fire the Hogs played with and didn't give up at the end was inspiring. I agree. I agree.
It really was.
And that's the thing, Tyson. I don't know how old you are, but one of the things that you never questioned with the team for the Razorbacks when Bobby Petrino was here, were they going to play with fire? They played with fire.
Every game.
They played with fire. They played with some
Because
intensity,
if you didn't, you got yelled at.
100%. And
We saw that. I don't know if you saw it
yeah,
on a game the other night, but I saw him come unglued after a play on the sideline. He's like, "Oh, he's back! He's back!"
right.
It was really fun to see
Yeah,
the
and
fire.
and you want that fire. You
Yep.
need somebody to be a little bit fiery over there, get them motivated, get things going. But some things that stuck out to me on that as I turn my little page here. Again, better effort. They fell 34-31. I mean, they fell to Ole Miss. What was it? 42-35, was that
Yep.
right? Or
Lost by what, 4 or 5?
41-35.
That's right.
And then they fell to Memphis 32-31. So the score was real similar to what they've had this year. But then you had the fact that they were able to run the football against Tennessee, which Tennessee's defense is not overly good, but the running defense was better than the
Yep.
passing defense. You had 240 on the ground, 256 through the air. I mean, that's a Bobby Petrino game right
It
there.
is.
496 yards and well, 256 through the air, 240. It's beautiful. Three turnovers were the killer, right? I
Yep.
mean, it was just
100%.
absolute killer. Got any comments? Anything that you see? Make sure you're commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing, anything like that. Make sure you're doing that. We're going to be doing this from time to time. In fact, we're probably going to do this almost every day now.
Might as well. We ain't got nothing else to do, Brad.
But my question is, if and Tyson touched on this, is do you want Bobby? Do you want him back after that performance? Now, I can tell you, I've got a friend group right now that would tell you some of them. I know two now that I know that know football very well, and they just basically say give him the job, just give it to him right now.
Uh, I I want to hold out my judgment. I want to see more. Um,
That's where I'm
I
at.
just want to see more because I mean I love Bob Petrino. I'm glad he's back. I was happy when Sam hired him for last year. I thought it was a great move. He got to come back and you know when he was at the Touchdown Club doing that interview and we saw his how he reacted to one the fan support that showed up and two just how bad he felt for the way things ended. You could tell that he was genuine and that convinced me that he deserved to be back on the staff. But now he's got to win some games. He's got to do what Sam couldn't do because that's the whole point of this. Couldn't win games. Now, if he comes out and goes, 5,500 the rest of the season, I'm not going to be upset about that. Give him another year. See what he can do with one more year, get some more recruits in. But barring, you know, 500 or better for the rest of the season, I don't think so.
So my thing with the coaching search at Arkansas is this: is that you're in a position that I don't think you've been in a long, long time.
Yep.
It's a position that number one, the worst you can do right now, or the worst you should do. Let's just say that because when it comes to the Razorbacks, they're going to figure out a way to mess it up when it comes to coaching. Go look at the history of Arkansas Razorback coaching searches and tell me that every time, almost every time, they didn't hire the wrong guy. I mean,
John L. Smith.
well, I mean Frank Broyles was the guy, obviously, but after that, they could have hired Jimmy Johnson
Yep.
at least on one occasion, and they didn't. And Jimmy wanted the job. He
Oh,
tried his best to get the job, and they just didn't give it to him. And it ended up being Lou Holtz, and then it was Ken Hatfield. And don't get me wrong, I mean those two guys were incredible. They were
they were.
incredible at Arkansas. But at the end of the day, neither one of those guys are Jimmy Johnson.
Nope.
And then
They
you
are
go
not.
down that the one thing that down the line, even with Houston Nutt, Tommy Tuberville wanted the job. It came down to Houston Nutt and Tommy Tuberville. Now, history would change a whole lot if Tommy Tuberville got that job. But when you look at what he did at Auburn, his winning percentage was a lot higher than
Hmm.
Houston Nutt's. But he was at Auburn too. Tyson Frank says this: hard to give it to him right now after one game. Let's see how the team responds to him the rest of the season. I'm also a fan of Bobby, but we need to see what happens. I'm with you. We need to see what happens. I
Hmm.
and I will say this too. Again, Bobby's the worst that you should do. There's a guy out there. There's guys out there like Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen to me would be a home run. He's 6-0 at UNLV right now.
Hmm.
He would be a home run.
It's just that record of Florida that bothers me.
He was 34-15 out in Florida. He played in the SEC championship game. He also did it there at Florida when you're probably looking at the very best the SEC was. In fact,
It really was. You
I'm
ain't
gonna
lying.
pull that up right now because the SEC, while it is good still, and it's I mean top to bottom, it's probably better than it's been. But when you talk about the heavy hitters, you're not as good on top as you've been.
Not when Vanderbilt's 5-1.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
saying.
I mean, Vanderbilt's going into LSU right now with the opportunity to move to 6-1 and probably change coaches at LSU, which we don't want to do, by the way,
Nope, nope. Keep him
because
there.
Arkansas's already moving down the pecking order.
Yeah, yeah. We don't want that.
Now that's the one thing that you've got to know if you're Arkansas right now. You've got to be checking everything. You've got to be checking the list, making sure that everything is good, and you need to be hiring a guy. You need to be ready to go whenever this season ends. Whether that
Yep.
be that Bobby is the guy and you take him on into a bowl game, or if you decide to make a change, whatever change you make, you need to be able to make that change right after the season's over.
Have to.
No hesitation whatsoever. So at Florida, Dan Mullen, 10-3, 11-2, 8-4, 5-6, and he got fired. He's 34-15 overall. He's 21-14. Now, go and look and see how good Florida's done since Dan Mullen.
Oh, that's true.
And really, Florida has been a really good program, obviously, but they've also had Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier. Those two guys have won, but they also had a guy named Ron Zook. They had a guy named Will Muschamp. None of those guys were that great there. You
Mm-mm.
know, you should be able to be great at Florida, and they're not. But anyway, Dan Mullen was 34-15, and he won the SEC East, played in the SEC championship game at a time when the SEC was better than it's ever been. Clarendon High School needs some discipline. All right. Well, there you go. Um, so that being said, Bobby, do you want him back? I think some are on the fence right now. Would you take him back? I guess that's maybe a better
Oh,
question.
I'd take him back.
Yeah.
I'd take him back. When he was away from us, he did have a quarterback that won a Heisman Trophy. He won a lot of games at Louisville. You know, played a good game against us when he was at Missouri State. You know, I I'm happy having him back because you can't deny that he's a really good football coach. X's and O's wise, he knows it. And if he's like you said, if he's the worst we get, I think we're still pretty okay for
Again,
next year.
it's all. I mean, really, that's what it's all about.
They just need to give him the tools he needs. John Tyson and JB Hunt, just get Walmart, give him the tools he needs to put together a great staff and a solid team.
So supposedly, that's the whole thing
Yeah,
behind it is that they're saying that Pittman didn't have
yeah.
it.
Why?
You know,
If that's the case, why didn't they? He should have had it. If they support the Hogs, he should have. It shouldn't even been a question.
right.
Shouldn't even been a question. Do you support him or not? Are you going to put your money where your mouth
So
is?
the question will be, will they give it to him or not? So anyway, Texas A&M coming up. It's a home game. That's I get
Glad it's
so
at home.
flipping tired of losing to Texas A&M. It's
It's
unreal. It's not at Dallas this year.
thank
The
God.
Dallas thing just didn't work out last time Arkansas beat out. Well, I guess Pittman beat them once,
He
but
did,
outside of that, the last time Arkansas beat them was when
Bobby.
Petrino was here.
Yep.
I mean, they're 12-1 or 13-1 in their last 14 games against us. I am
Yeah, it's
over
gross.
that. But unfortunately, they're probably in better footing than they've ever been right now. I say ever been, but in
In a
many,
while,
many years there they've got a good thing going there. I really like Mike Elko. He's a really good coach
he has.
there. So anyway, let's move on to basketball real quick. Arkansas basketball was in Hot Springs last night. Yesterday, I think a lot of people were impressed with what they saw.
I was.
This basketball team is got a chance to be really, really good. The SEC media, though, voted them fifth in the conference. That's a little bit of a mixed bag, don't you think?
I don't know where they're getting that information. Like, what four teams are hands down better?
Well,
That's what I want to know.
according to the SEC media, let me just pull
Can't
it
beat
up.
Kentucky. They ain't beat Arkansas in a
That
while.
so I'm pretty sure that it's Florida, it's Kentucky,
Alabama.
it's Alabama, and it's Tennessee. Those were the top four. Now, I will tell you, I feel like Tennessee for sure will not finish ahead of Arkansas. They struggled
Yep.
a little bit this year filling their filling the roster. And one of the kids that Arkansas went very hard at was Nate Ament. And Nate Ament, while he's one of those kids that can definitely come in and give you minutes, I'm not totally sure he was a guy that was going to come in and be like this one and done. Now he may think he's one and done. There's a lot of kids that think they're one and done, but they
Hmm.
aren't. Nick Smith Jr. love the guy, but he should have stayed another year and matured at Arkansas.
Especially since he only had less than half a season to play. Should have common sense says you redshirt that year, chalk it up to a loss,
Right.
and move on to show out and get better draft stock the year after.
So Ament was a kid that while I would have loved to had him, don't get me wrong, I don't feel like that he's a guy that you can step in and make a centerpiece. And
Yeah,
so anyway, but I think that Calipari's really got something good going there.
I think so. Just we got a couple 7-footers, and you know, Trevor Brazil's back. I love watching that young man play ball. I hate that he's been hurt, you know, a bit since he's come to Arkansas, but he has stuck it out, and he's a hog. And those are the kind of guys you like watching.
DJ Wagner and Carter Knox voted the third team SEC, third team All SEC. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes.
I, I think Carter Knox is better than that.
Graham Kimbrough asks, he says, what has happened to Osceola this year? Now, that's an interesting question. I don't really know Graham for sure. I just know that
Let's take a gander.
Osceola was telling us that a top 10 was not a top 10 without Osceola in it. Now, I do know this, that Osceola plays a very tough schedule.
They do.
And, they may have dealt with some injuries. I guess somebody that is a little closer to the program could tell us. Right now, they're sitting at 1-5. I guess what surprises me most was the fact how Walnut Ridge handled them so well.
Yep.
And then they turned around and lost to Newport as well. They beat Hoxie 43-20. Gosnell's good, Blyville's good, Mills is good.
Yeah.
Walnut Ridge is good, Newport's good. So it's not like they've played anybody that's bad. I mean, even Hoxie's not as quite as good as they've been over the last several years, but still not a terrible program. Coach Tom Sears does a good job over there. I feel like just looking at their schedule outside of maybe Rivercrest, that things will pick up for them over the last few ball games here. But the thing is now, even if they make the playoffs,
Seeding is going to be
yeah, seeding's
rough.
going to be rough. Which they are in one of the top conferences down there, or in the 3A, and they're tied with Hoxie for fifth in that conference. Harrisburg is sitting at 2-1 right now. That's a change. Harrisburg, they've beat Manila and they've beaten Piggott, so they're going to have a little bit tougher road to hoe as well. That Harrisburg game is going to end up being one of the more important games for Osceola moving forward if they're going to make the playoffs. If they lose to
Yep.
Harrisburg, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they need that win.
I would say that if they win that ball game, then they've got a shot. They got a real shot at making the playoffs. They go to Rivercrest, and then they got two home games in a row with Piggott and with Manila. So, good question though. I don't know the exact answer. I just know that they've played some tough teams.
They have Manila's probably they got a good shot to win that game. Manila's 0-6 right now.
Piggott has
Pig is
lost.
0-6 as well. So that
Piggott
uh,
actually, I think, has the longest losing streak in the state right
yeah,
now.
yeah. Since the other longest one was broke, wasn't it? Earlier this year, had a long one broke to start the year.
Yeah. I think we had. I think you're right. I think they're the longest right now. Clarendon wins state in basketball. Well, we'll see what happens there. But anyway, well, I think we've kind of covered what we wanted to cover throughout. We're going to talk a little bit of Razorbacks. We're going to talk a little bit of high school moving forward. We may even get to maybe even tomorrow. We might get to breaking down the 2A through 4A tomorrow. We're still kind of feeling our way through this when it comes to studio time and what we can do because, again, this is all new to us, but we'll figure it out. What we want to encourage you to do right now, if you watch this later or if you watch it right now, is become a member. Become a member with us on YouTube. Join us on YouTube because a lot of this is going to go premium. And here's what we're going to do we're going to give you a playoff preview on Saturday or Sunday, either November the 8th or November the 9th, which is coming up very soon, where we're going to make playoff picks, we're going to make playoff predictions, we're going to pick champions, and we want you to be a part of that. So we want to encourage you now to go ahead and make that a premium, go be premium. Not only will you get that, but when we have the ASN Basketball Classic that comes up, all day affair, you're going to get that as well. So you're going to get a lot of content. We're going to be doing more content like this as we go on. So we want to encourage you, go over to YouTube and become a member with us and get that playoff preview that's coming up here very shortly. We're looking for a football game to go to. We're going to talk to some folks um, here very shortly about that. We'll see if we'll come up with a place to go. And then obviously next week, like I said,
Yeah, you need something to do Friday. I already got something to
right?
do.
Like I said, next week we go to Prescott. We're going to be there. So
Curly Wolves.
Prescott and Bismarck. That's going to be a fun one.
It
So
is.
anyway, Timothy Garcia says we're going to play England in the state finals in basketball. There you go. All right.
That's
Well,
a good
hey,
prediction. Write it down.
we'll talk about that when the time comes. We love basketball too.
Oh, basketball's fun.
Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Appreciate you joining us here on the Audible. Again, we'll talk to you soon about all things Arkansas sports throughout the state of, and we just again just join us. Think about joining us as a premium member coming up here in the next few weeks. You're going to want to do that. So
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe all our pages. It helps us out. I know every content creator, they say all that, but it really does. The numbers add up.
that is true. That is true. So anyway, we're going to break this down today. Thank you for joining us here on the Audible. We'll see you probably tomorrow.